Wheeler, the Mercenary King, here with a Blue Storm deck. I think you'll enjoy it. Blue Storm is a new archetype for Aqua Force. Previously, I think they've gone pretty far without an archetype, but at the same time, they're sort of reaching the point where you need an extra sort of restriction to really bring out the power and add some spice to Aqua Force. As you know, Aqua Force is all about the number of attacks you can pull off in a turn. This deck can pull up about 5 to 6, depending. Not really. It's more like 5 at most. And that's if you pull some shenanigans. So let's talk about the trigger lineup. 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. Makes me sad because Blue Storm does require some special counter blasts. And so I have to use the Blue Storm triggers. So crits, draws, I wish I could use that otter. Also, say goodbye to Legs McGee. And now I've just got a gallery person. Makes me sad. 4 crits. Here, non-Blue Storm. This goes into the Soul plus 3, to unflip damage. Useful. Don't know why I'm not running 4. I'm going to have to replace it with one of these eventually. Then we got the starter. This is the best starter for Blue Storm. When this unit hits a Vanguard, when the battle this unit boosted, if you have an Aqua Force Vanguard and it's the 3rd battle more of that turn, look at the top 5 cards of the deck, look for a Maelstrom. And then reveal it to the opponent, put it into your hand. In other words, he's a +1 if you hit, and if you check top 5, he's better than a grade 3 searcher. There's only Maelstroms in the grade 3 section, but at the same time that removes grade 3s from the deck. Really one of the best starters in the game. Certainly perfect for Aqua Force. It runs off of attacks. It searches for aces. Really, there's nothing for it not to love. Grade 1s, 4 perfect shields. 4 Blue Storm 10k attackers. Like I said before, you have to have a lot of Blue Storms. I'm still working on the rest of it, but I do know that I'm running 2 Krista Elizabeths. She is Counterblast a Blue Storm when this unit attack hits a Vanguard during a battle this unit boosted. If you have an Aqua Force Vanguard, if you pay the cost, if you do, search an Aqua Force from hand and put it onto the rearguard circle for another attack, any rearguard circle. In other words, here's a 12k attacker. Let's say you do the Basil stuff. Then you do this. Boom, for a 5th attack, ready for triggers. Because goodness knows they won't be able to resist. Like I said, she requires a Persona Blast, but that's still pretty good. Then what we have is these 2 guys. This is a Soul Blast 2, unflip 2 damage when placed on rearguard circle. She can also be used by Krista Elizabeth as a target for Karma Dragon. But at the same time, you know, she's not a Blue Storm. And then there's Wheel Assault. At the end of battle, this unit boosted. If you have an Aqua Force Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose 2 Aqua Force Rearguards and exchange places. I'm not sold on him quite yet. But at the same time, he allows for a lot of attacks. This is now a legitimate column because you attack with this one first. You attack here, Counterblast 1. Boom. Pretty sweet. These, of course, do not change. You know, this doesn't turn anything to paused to stood or anything like that. Of course, 3 non-Blue Storms won't hurt anything. They've got a Blue Storm Quintet wall, but at the same time, I don't really want to use Quintet walls. However, in this deck, actually, it would be pretty decent. But at the same time, you want to use your counter blasts for Maelstrom. So, take it how you want to go. So, first off, we have the old standby Storm Rider Basil. Storm Rider Basil is, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have an Aqua Force Vanguard, this unit gets plus 2k until end of battle. He's really good early game. Early to mid-game before you get 11k Vanguard. Until end of battle. At the beginning of the close step of that battle, choose another rearguard, switch places. Boom. He was really useful. Target of priority. Really makes this deck work more than Spyro or others because he hits early game, as well as the fact that he can work with himself for an AK attacker. We've also got 12k attacker for Blue Storm. Pretty simple. Gregorios. I'm not sure how they're picking the names here, but it's still pretty Latin sounding and looks okay. Maybe a bit Greek. I'm not sure. Counterblast 1 Blue Storm in the name for Blue Storm Marine General Spyros. By the way, that's God Eater Zombie Shark. In the end of the battle, this unit attacked a Vanguard if you have a grade 3 or greater Aqua Force Vanguard, and it's the first or second battle of the turn. Counterblast 1 Blue Storm. Stay in this unit. A lot of restrictions, but at the same time it can be used. So in other words, here's how you do it. Boom, switch. Boom, Blue Storm, stand. Attack with, attack again. And all of a sudden, 3 attacks out of this column. Your Vanguard, a Maelstrom by the way, of some kind, then attacks, and you're good. You should, if you do it right. Sure, you have to attack the Vanguard, but at the same time, you don't have to attack a Vanguard the second time. So in other words, you attack the Vanguard, doesn't do anything, then you attack a rearguard. Huzzah. By the way, if you go first, this makes Aqua Force all the deadlier. Then we got the grade 3s. Really, the basis of this deck is Maelstrom. Maelstrom is an ace in his own right and can work in this deck even if the other 3 weren't there and he was the only one because of Marios, which searches out Maelstroms. Doesn't guarantee that you'll get them, but at the same time, it's possible. He is one of the oldest aces for Aqua Force, only preceded by Naval Gazer, and same deal as Hydro Hurricane. And he is, when this unit attacks a Vanguard and it's the 4th battle or more, in other words, Basil, switch, boom, boom. And then you attack with the Vanguard for the 4th one. This unit gets plus 5k. And when this unit attack hits, you may pay the cost, counterblast 1, draw a card, and kill one of your opponent's rearguards. That is beautiful. A lot of Aqua Force's 4th attacks messes with the opponent's hand. The stuff that gets plus on critical, it doesn't really do as much as this guy does. He's a real workhorse. He works perfectly. Trigger lineup, by the way, a great one back in the day was like 6 stand, 6 crit, or any number of things really. Of course he's on hit and that's dangerous, but the on hit pressure is just too intense to really let him go, because all of a sudden he's gaining 4 cards per turn if you hit, and that's the average, that's the minimum of what's required to block a full attack from your opponent in late game. Then he's comboed up with he has 2 different cross rides. Glory should be known and feared by everyone. He is the original. You can't call grade 1s or greater units from the Guardian Circle from the hand. So, Counterblast 1, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, until end of turn, this unit gets plus 5k, and can't call grade 1 or greater. That's beautiful. Fantastic card. Really does work out at ends games, because you should be using the perfect shields on this guy or this guy, though sometimes they'll let him hit if they don't have much damage, and it really does do a lot for your deck. Ends games, you search him out with Marios early, and then you hold on to him until you need him, because he doesn't need to be directly ridden on Maelstrom. Maelstrom just has to be in the soul, and even if you stick with Maelstrom, it's still good. Karma Dragon is the cross ride of Maelstrom, and it's a reverse card. I don't play many reverses, but he's certainly one that I just love to death. Counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards and tap it, and lock it. So in other words, you have to have something that either hasn't attacked, hasn't boosted, or hasn't been used in some way. You can use his own booster because he hits 18k by himself. When it attacks a Vanguard and it's a 4th battle turn or more, you may pay the cost. If you do, until end of that battle, this unit gets plus 5k in a critical. So in other words, if it hits plus 5k in a critical, and if it doesn't hit, you get to draw a card and kill one of your opponent's rear guards. He's better than Maelstrom. Even with the loss of a booster or whatever, it still doesn't mean that he loses any pressure. Plus 5k in a critical is pretty intense and should not be ignored. Of course, he's also got the cross ride for Blue Storm Maelstrom, so does he. So in other words, attack 18k, counterblast, tap, lock, 18k, done. There's many different ways to set this up, simply not attacking or boosting or whatever. Also, let's see here. Also calling out something with Crystal Elizabeth, not using your booster. Anything is possible. This is a really strong deck. I've had a lot of fun with it, and I think you will too. Karma Dragons have gone down to about 12. That's what I bought them at. I'm sure they'll go down a bit more as Glindios and all the other prices normalize. Maelstrom, of course, is not cheap, but at the same time, he shouldn't be getting up there too hard. I paid about 20 per one of these, but that was about, I don't know, 3 to 4 months ago when he was still relevant before prices went up a little bit. And Glory I traded for, I don't remember how much it was. But at the same time, I remember Glory decks. I remember Glory Transcore decks and a whole bunch of other ones. And they're pretty intense. Transcore, by the way, can be used in this deck. There's a break ride coming out in Fire's Collection that's like if it's a 4th or 5th battle, a turn or more. Draw 2 cards, but at the same time, that's not really the winning image. The winning image is constant Vanguard pressure and many rearguard attacks. Alright then, this has been Wheeler the Mercenary King, showing off his Blue Storm deck that he built in Chicago, and hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to do Mega Colony next.